now I want to welcome up the final panel, and I introduce you when you come up. Please take a seat. Jonas, you start. Come up. Jonas Gejer, as you met before. Take a seat, please. And we have also Bertrand Sicot, Senior Vice President, Dassault Systèmes. Very welcome. You too. We have Märtha Rehnberg, as you met earlier today. Please come up. And then we also have a new new person again, Darren Cairns, Intrinsys, the company that Technia has acquired. Very welcome to you too.
We share the table.
Yes. So you know Jonas and you know Märtha from before, so I will give you some time maybe to introduce yourself. Bertrand, maybe you can start.
Yeah, so my name is Bertrand Sicot. I'm from Dassault Systèmes. I'm in charge of work. I'm very happy because I have a very funny job. I'm working every day with Technia Transcat. Right? And Intrinsys, by the way, and Intrinsys. So my job is to follow all the partners all over the world who are engaging with our customers, the value solution partners from Dassault Systèmes, to bring the Dassault Systèmes solutions to you.
Excellent. And Darren, Intrinsys, for those who don't know what that is.
So my name's Darren Cairns. I'm the Managing Director of Intrinsys. So we're a UK and South African-based Dassault Systèmes business partner. So we were acquired 3 months ago by the Adnode Group. So for the first time in 19 years, I now have a boss.
Very tough one.
Which is why I'm this end and you're that end.
Okay.
We are protecting.
You're in a small room, not so many people. How does it feel?
No, it's been a good experience.
Okay. And also...
So far.
So far.
Fingers crossed. And also I know that Intrinsys has for a long time worked with sort of the electricity revolution, for example, the taxi cars in London and so on. So you must have been happy to hear all this. It's been a lot of cars and a lot of electricity here.
It's been very relevant. So I was a shareholder of Intrinsys and also another company, Integral Powertrain, and we produce hybrid powertrains and motors for EVs. So a lot of today's topics have been very relevant. Yeah. Guys from Honeywell, obviously the NEO project. So it's a very exciting phase at the moment. I've been an engineer for 30 years, and I must say I get quite jealous now of the young engineers that I bring into the company because they are just so lucky. It's just a different world now. Yeah. There's just so much opportunity and such an exciting phase.
Yeah. Jonas, what do you say about today? Quite interested. Did it sort of fit into what you believed when we spoke this morning?
Clearly, I'm amazed by all the talented speakers, and also for me, you know, we try to be the #1 knowledge company in PLM, and for myself, I learned a lot today. Yeah. By both. I think the opening speaker, I know Leif is fantastic. He has this very broad experience, and both. I think I like the way of stating it's both about the iron, but it's also about the silicon and the software. So, and also the futuristic point of view here with Märtha, it was a bit mind-blowing for us, you know, even though we work with tech, you know, I very much appreciated the kind of future vision and what will happen. Then obviously, I said in my opening, I spent 25 years in this industry, and I would agree to Darren, this is really the moment, this is when it's happening. And really the super cool things will happen in the coming years.
Okay. And I suppose you agree. I mean, you also spend some time with customers here in Stockholm.
Yes, so it's true that...
would you describe the big trends what the customers need when it comes for you as a supplier?
Oh, it's clearly what Jonas said. You know, we are at the beginning of a new era, which is clearly the next 10 to 15 years are going to be totally different to the one we went through. And overall, it's a revolution. It's even not an evolution. It's a revolution that is going on. And I would say, you know, as a French person, revolution, I know what I'm talking about. sometimes you lose your head, so you have to be careful. Anyway, and that's the reason why at Dassault Systèmes, working with Technia Transcat in Intrinsys, we are happy because we believe that the next phase after PLM is what we call at Dassault Systèmes the 3D experience platform. And why? In just a few words, it's because talking about digitalization, it means that we will have access to a lot of data. And this is really where, when you see the customers as Zidel today, with Optim data, what they're able to do is clearly a new use case that nobody was thinking about in the past. So the next 15 years on the technology that Dassault Systèmes will bring with you as a partner to you, our customers, the revolution is coming. And we call that the 3D experience, and because we wanted to put a name on it. But as we speak, we have customers here, they are already making that revolution happen in their organization. So that's a fantastic challenge that we had ahead of us. And like you, Jonas, after 25 years, I'm going to be ready to go for the next 25 without retiring.
Let's do
it. Done deal.
Okay, Märtha, you must, like what you hear now, you talked about this revolution, obviously, and also, which was very interesting, I mean, the circular economy, the disruptive business model, and how everything is tied together. When you listen to this conference and hear all this PLM system, what's happening there, do you see that, is this an important key to really follow what's happening, to have a smart system, to use that? How can you fit in the smart systems in your future view?
Well, I must admit I'm not a super user of the PLM system yet, but obviously having one central point for turning information into wisdom and preferably knowledge and wisdom. I guess that's definitely a good starting point.
Well, when you listen to the speakers here today, I mean, it's for me, maybe now I'm a little bit boring now and old school, but I mean, it's a lot of vision, what you can do, and it's a revolution, blah, blah. And then when it comes to company, they're in reality, sort of. They, try to small changes, a little bit more effective. Is it a mismatch what you can do and how the companies are thinking?
I mean, obviously there's something really sociological about us coming in Monday morning. The coffee hasn't really kicked in yet, and we still have our existing KPIs. So that's very real, and we have to tackle with that. One thing that I've always done, I didn't used to have 2 companies. I used to be in a huge corporate structure. And it's really important to find your playmates around in the organization and as well across the organization, that you can keep inspiring each other to always think anew. So that you still keep doing what you're doing well today, but that you always have people that will disrupt your ways and your mindsets. And in essence, it's about inspiration and having fun. So finding your colleagues and playmate is really important.
It would be interesting to hear from Jonas and Darren as well. I mean, we heard so much about you have to think a new way, you have to disrupt your own model. Do you see companies thinking in doing this, or are they brave enough, or how would you describe?
I think it was Robin that referred to exploitation and exploration. And if you take the UK, and I can only talk for the UK, but I guess it's pretty similar to Europe, at least before Brexit kicks in. What we're seeing is, if you take exploitation, I think there was a tendency maybe 5 years ago for companies to think, okay, if I want to increase my profit, I've got to cost save. And you can increase your profit if you cut costs, but it's not sustainable year on year. I think now you've got a period where customers are realizing that the way to gain profitability and gain market share is by actually exploiting the tools that you've got or the tools that you can buy. And what's interesting, I think, for us is that what we sell is a commercially available product from these guys that anyone can buy. But not everybody has a vision for how to use them and how to exploit them. And I think that's the key for the companies that are successful, is exploiting them. And then when you come to exploration, it's a question of when do you adopt a new technology? If you leave it too long, you're a follower and you're just catching up.
Which can be quite successful.
It can be, if you don't leave it too long. It can be painful if you go in too early, so you've got to pick the right time. And again, I guess the customers that identify the right time to adopt a technology. And here we are talking about through the experience, and it's been around for a number of years, and now it's definitely at the point where it's being exploited, and it's not exploration anymore. It's safe technology that's delivering.
And then I was very impressed with Roger Markusson at NEO. I think this vision that they had with the joyful user experience and the kind of, so you see this combination, it's not enough just being the world best in designing electrical car. You had to add something more, and I think this is very interesting when you then combine, you know, like internet-centric thinking with automotive thinking. And I think here we will see some amazing things happening. And
But Jonas, I think it was interesting what Darren just said, that the systems are there, you can do so much more. Now it's up to the users to really use all the, that's pretty much what you say, isn't it? To use all the function. Do you see a mismatch there? You can do so much, but the customers has to really start using it. Then that's a big gain to make now.
Then, yeah, I agree, you know, that our ability to put this high-tech functionality, PLM functionality into business, that's probably one of the critical success factors. But then when I see what we were able to do, for example, with Stadler, we started the project 7 months later, we were in production with the first pilot. So I think we are shaping up. We are much faster than, you know, what used to take us 1.5 years, we could do in 6-7 months. So it's about our knowledge, but also it's about the maturity of the platform.
And the customers.
And yeah, clearly, maybe the most important, I think you're right there, the partnership. Are we working on the same game plan? Do we have the same KPIs? Do we have a kind of consistent way of implementing this? And do it stepwise.
Okay. In addition, there is one thing that we see happening. You know, if you look at the new generation, the young kids who are today studying in the universities, if you look at how they work, the tools they use, and how they expect to work when they will be joining our organizations, it's really a change. So we see that happening. Look at your kids and look how they look at the world. It's clearly a driver that we will see joining our organizations very soon. And we will have no choice. We will have to adjust because they are not going to adjust. So we see that really coming. So the schools generation, a new generation is coming with a certain mindset that will force us to adjust. We are convinced about that.
Bertrand, just a follow-up question. We spoke this morning about easy to use and the simplicity of the system. Do you think that you can do a lot there?
Clearly, usability is it's a word that is covering a lot. It's not only a user interface, it's also how you make the system available 24/7, how you make it mobile, so meaning smartphone, tablet available everywhere. That's a lot of things that have to be worked on, and the ultimate test is the users. And clearly the challenge is for all of us to make sure that we deliver to you systems that can be handled with no training. That's the ultimate usability. Have you been trained on your iPhone?
Of course.
Of course.
Yes, Jonas?
Yeah, comment here. I think it was very interesting to listen to the Honeywell people, you know, in terms of you achieve a certain level of user satisfaction and then immediately the bar is raised a bit and then it's raised again. So probably our ability then to continuously refine the user experience and make it better, you know, every day, every week, every month and year. I think this is I think what we are betting on. I think the small incremental changes with the agile model.
Märtha?
I just have a question maybe to you guys or in general a note. I mean, it must be also hard to come with a product that might be disruptive for your customer. If we look at it's not only the user interface, but also understanding the politics in the company that you're tapping into as a customer. If you have a truly disruptive product in your hand, you're bound to create some conflict in the value chain of the organization. You're bound to have the legal department want their say, the finance department want their say, everybody wants their say, and that could also be really, really difficult. That was just sort of a comment/question if you have an experience with that.
Yeah, we see that happening when we deliver application on the clouds, where clearly we have companies asking, hey, where is my IP? Where is my IP flying? Legal jumping in the room, say, hey, what are the legal constraints that you have crossed over without telling me, etc., etc. But I'm a big believer that over time, all that will be solved. But yes, you're right. It's also disruptive on these aspects. But over time, the things will settle.
And sometimes, if you look at the old way of organizing an engineering organization, you have these silos sometimes. The detailed engineering, you know, you have design, you have simulation, and so that, yeah, I think you're spot on.
The technologies as well are meaning that you're moving the roles and the responsibilities around.
Yeah.
So you take something away from one part of a company and you put it into another department, but the overall gain is better.
Yeah.
So there has to be a changing of responsibilities and roles in an organization, and the only way you can do that is by getting buy-in from the top.
Right. And so then you have to have an understanding for your customer as well as your customer's customers. You were talking about the new generation. I was thinking I have shoes made out of sea waste. I mean, try to sell that in as a concept, you know, saying, the new people, they will want to have shoes made out of sea waste and they will pay 250 euros for it. I mean, you have to speak to the right people to be able to make that that argument convincing. Because we have our very sort of, prejudiced or biased way of thinking about our products.
But it's an interesting matter because, I mean, question your own products is one thing, question your own business model, also one thing, but also adjusting your organization to the new world must be another key point here. To really have an organization that have the guts to listen to each other, maybe a more flat organization. Do you see that going hand in hand with all the other things that are happening in business now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's exponential, the amount of X departments that are being set up around in the big organizations. And that's something that is really important, because if you are doing, at least working with disruption inside of the mother organization, you're bound to do something with the customer contract and the customer expectations. So it's really interesting to see that people are increasingly putting these things outside, trying to protect their brand in a bit. And that's really, I think, is going to be key to testing these things out and being agile with the new customer demands that we see.
I think that as background, I think the last speech was very interesting about the construction industry, which is always, you know, accused of being pretty old thinking and not that looking ahead. And then, as we heard, new players are coming in, like Cisco and other, and that happens in industry after industry, of course. And I don't know if you have any reflection, but for me it's very interesting. And that goes hand in hand with new industries, I guess, that will demand your type of system and your competence. Like now, you're suddenly, Jonas, involved in the construction industry. You wouldn't have thought that 5 years ago, I guess.
Maybe not, but also what you see, maybe the big trend there is that, you know, the service industry is meeting like the hard goods industry, and, you know, I think what we heard also from Leif this morning, you know, 2/3 of their profits is related to service business, so that's a very strong trend we see. Yeah. Then also, you know, the ability to manage your service offerings and develop them in a very structured way. It's also vital to stay competitive. Yeah. And that's also something we done, you know, in some cases we could do even more, and obviously also agree to the Optim data story there. And
what we do see in our world is that for partners, over time, you are moving up the value chain. In the past, it was I connect my system, I install and that's it. Then a little bit of training. And now, more and more, you are going up to the value chain. We have partners, they even take the ownership of the project, customer project, and they deliver the data. The presenter just before spoke about CAD-Maker, if I understood well. Right? So that's exactly a company that is in the construction industry, that is designing on the cloud using the Dassault Systèmes solutions, doing projects and delivering the data to the customer. So that's they are not selling software, they are delivering projects on the 3D Experience platform, and they give the container with all the projects on the 3D Experience platform. So that's the changes that you can see happening over time, because you, the customers, you're asking for that. And it's another way to look around. And coming from the construction industry, after listening to the presenters saying, hey, it's a company, it's an industry that has not delivered any productivity improvement over the past 50 years, that's a pretty interesting new ways. And we have few actors like that in North America who are doing that in the construction world. And we all know that the history is full of activity where if you are standing still, no innovation, there is someone who is doing it who will do it anyway. So if it's not you, it will be somebody else. And if it's not you, you are going to disappear from the market. So
it's either
that's basically the message.
It's either one in the business or someone outside the business that comes into the industry.
Invent yourself, otherwise somebody will simply create a new business.
You see this same trend in UK, I guess, with new industries that would demand your kind of competence and systems that you didn't think about 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
for example,
10 years ago it was predominantly auto and aero our business, but we have customers now in industrial equipment. We've had customers that have come to us with inventions, where finance houses have wanted to finance the engineering of that product. Yeah, very diverse industry and base, and I think I agree with what Bertrand was saying, that companies now, you can't afford to just stand still because you will just lose your place in the market.
Sorry, I thought you wanted to say something. But it seems to listen to you, I mean, just comparing to earlier year, it's much less focus on the products, what the PLM systems can do, and new functions. I mean, it's there. Now it's about making companies and customers try to rethink about themselves. Is that a little bit of a conclusion, comparing 2 years ago, 4 years ago, when I was here?
I would agree to that. You know, technology is there. It's then how could we form partnerships to successfully deploy that and create business benefits, and also I would say this transformation of business models. We could be an enabler there as well.
And Märtha, that goes. Now we talk about PLM system, and maybe that goes for a lot of other technologies. Maybe even 3D printers. That technology is there. Now it's just up to companies what they can do with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, technology is there. It's most people don't know it is there, and most people don't know that me as a non-engineer can set up my own chatbot in 30 minutes, and I know I don't really am that savvy with tech, or that I can get my part 3D printed in 48 hours. I mean, people don't know these things yet, but that awareness, I think, is also exponential. People are finally talking about it, and then also just see how excited everyone on stage has been. That's also something that we've seen progress just the last year or so, that people are really excited about this space.
That's the new Moore laws, what we can do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, technology is sociology. It's people driving it forward.
On that topic, you know, there is always a place to invent a new use case. Talking about marketplace and 3D printing, you can simply share resources and say, okay, I'm here in Sweden and I need to access a 3D printer that is in Germany, and then after I got my parts 48 hours ago, after. But you can also add value and simply say to the engineer, okay, you submit that part for a 3D printer. Do you know that if you would have done that part that way, you could have saved this and that? And you can do that with the cobots that you are running in the background, in the cloud. So that's a lot of value added. It's not only delivering a good, it's also suggesting new actions that you have not thinking about. So that's what ahead of us. Clearly, and it's exactly that. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we said it would be possible. Today, we can say it is possible, it's there, and it's really coming. So it's really a major step.
And to add to that, obviously, I challenging my internal R&D. You know, we are 100 persons developing software that complements Dassault's solution. You know, then they have to be much more active in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And of course, I agree. We need to create those cobots within the software that could guide the user and make it even easier to use our software.
I think if I can sort of tap into that a little bit, the grander perspective is that if you think about how we educate ourselves in school, just go back to sort of what are the tools that we have. We're very good at looking at history, but there's no course yet, at least in the Swedish system, as far as I know, that is all about trying to envision the future. And on top of that, we reward thinking with our minds. I mean, in the West, we are a knowledge economy, but when will we have a shift back towards thinking with our hands and the combination between the two? And I think this is something that we're seeing to a grander scale now, that finally the schools are retrofitting courses to think with our hands a bit more, and also to have dreamers courses where we try to envision utopias that we want to see. And I think that when that'll trickle out into the industry, we'll see everything sort of come at once.
Sign me up for that dreamers course.
Oh, come, we have it, we have it. So that was an open invitation.
Good.
Jonas, you talked this morning about how global you become, and I think that's based on what Märtha said about the winners in the future that can think ahead of us and have these correct visions. Can you see any difference between companies in different parts of the world? How keen they are on questioning themselves and looking to new business models?
I think quite interesting to see the number of unicorns here in Stockholm. You know, so I think we have.
What you're saying is that we're the best.
No, I'm not saying we are the best, because we probably are quite good in starting new things, experimenting. But then, if you look at the execution and the real high quality product, that's clearly Germany. Germany is ahead of us. So I would say. Then I think it's very exciting to see China and what they are able to do. And I think a good example here with this Naya company, they are kind of combining Silicon Valley, UK skills in racing, and also internet skills from China. I think the blend is probably what could make it, you know. You take the best from different cultures and knowledge.
Bertrand, not few people are worried about the future of Europe. US have their technology and China has all their people and also a lot of innovation, of course. What's your view on this?
The world is clearly global now. We see that with customers. You know, there is no boundaries. Clearly, and once again, I refer to the new generation. That generation is clearly, they are citizens of the world. They see the world globally, and they will work in a global world. So that change will take really the essence from that. So definitively, yes, it's global.
Do you have any final reflections on the discussion, or maybe a question to the panel before we round up this? Please raise your hands. Yes, we have one. 1 second, you get a microphone.
Thank you. Hello, Jean-François Rivet from Plasticomium, France. I have a question, maybe more to Bertrand or Jonas. I don't know. You talked, the speakers talked today a lot of innovation, new business model, new engineering models, and so on. Don't you think that you should also think of a new financial model for PLM? Because if I look at my supplier Dassault, it's always the same way. They are using licensing model and so on. Don't you think that you should maybe think of user satisfaction model for the payment, user experience or user usage?
You tell everyone else what to do. Why don't you do it yourself?
You set up the stage for that one, right?
I think it's maybe interesting to know that if the user are happy or if the user are using more, maybe the customer will pay more to you, and you will have a successful collaboration with your customers.
Thank you. That is a very interesting question, and I'm telling that not because I don't want to joke on that one, because it's true that we see the software model evolving over time. So from what it is today or what it is for the past 10 years to something new, and if you think about it, you know, we move from license plus a kind of a yearly fee. Now you have the SaaS business model, which is basically a kind of, you are renting your software. And we are even thinking at Dassault Systèmes that one day you would pay not the usage, but the data that you have created, because clearly at the end, it's not a question of of software. It's a question of what you deliver. So it's a little bit maybe far away from user satisfaction, but it's tied up to the production of what you are doing. And we are thinking about that. So, and we have already some customers who are teasing us on that, because it's a very intriguing question, and it will be part of the future. I'm convinced personally that it will happen. The business model for the software usage will change. It has changed already on our phone. So I'm convinced that with the cloud speeding the process, it will happen even more for applications based on the cloud.
Is it like next release?
No.
In the future, it could mean in 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, great question, great discussion, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.